5 studios. The Georgia Gang starts now.
Good morning. We're glad you could be with us. We've been criticized in the past for spending too much time on DeKalb, but the way the stories have unfolded in that county, we were justified because the county is rotten to the core.
Oh, stop. Come on.
Not necessarily. But we're a little bit tied up here because we are taping in advance of a federal court hearing over the composition of the DeKalb County School Board and Governor Nathan Deal's authority to remove 6 of the 9 members of that board, which he did on Monday. And a state suit has been combined with a federal suit, Phil. And they're looking at the constitutionality of the statute. And Gene Walker, the chairman of the school board, says he will fight, he won't resign. This is all about his reputation. Convicted felon John Evans, who's the former head of the who's now the head of the DeKalb NAACP, John Evans thinks that this is racial. I think it's all about school performance.
Well, it should be all about school performance. And, let's congratulate a lot of the African-American leaders that are speaking out and saying it's about school performance.
Unfortunately, it has absolutely nothing to do with school performance, and it should. When you put a school system on probation, it should have something to do with school performance, because if they lose accreditation, it is the students who suffer, and this has absolutely nothing to do with school performance. Nothing. Who suffers?
You and I.
You know me because of our property values?
Yeah.
Well, so do students who are graduating from high school, Dick, and can't go to a college because they're coming from an unaccredited school system.
I agree with you.
You can't have a situation where you've got accreditation based on things that have nothing to do with academics.
So if it's all about the children, use the Hillary Clinton.
In this case, it's nothing about the children.
It's about
teachers and students are doing everything they've been doing. Nothing's changed.
Jeff, what about the use of taxpayers' money by this sorry public servant, Gene Walker? Take him as an example.
I am so tired of you beating up on Gene Walker. Do you know Gene Walker? He isn't terrible. He has spent decades in public service as a state senator, as majority whip of the state senate, as commissioner of the Department of Juvenile Justice.
Have you read the Sachs report?
Have you read the Sachs report?
I have read the Sachs report. Do you know that there's absolutely no evidentiary basis for the Sachs report?
Well,
and that it's going to be used in a court of law?
But it says all of these things about Gene Walker, and by the way,
it goes after Gene Walker pretty hard.
Yes.
Let me tell you, the whole point too, that it targets the way the school board operates. It doesn't address anything about the school performance and the student performance.
That's my point. Thank you.
So therefore, they should not be threatening them with the loss of accreditation, because that will directly harm the students.
Well, I don't want to get into the Sachs part. I want to get into the board part, because that's the part that's before Federal Judge Richard's story. Why don't these school board members, just resign? Because after all, it is about the children, to quote Hillary Clinton. It's all about the children. So let's let the board step aside, leave their paltry salaries and their benefits on the table, and go away. Let's let a new board take place that focuses on working with the interim superintendent, Michael Thurmond, who's another member of the club, but he's a good guy for now, and let's get the schools going and avoid loss of accreditation. Well, I don't care about Gene Walker. Gene Walker's a cipher, and if Gene Walker is defended by convicted felon John Evans, he's in the wrong place.
Well, I'm going to defend him right now, because I think that he has done as good a job as he can. No, I'm talking about John Evans. Let me tell you, everybody deserves.
You're a spokesman for the school board, so it's a joke for you to be defending them.
Well, it's a joke for you to talk about Gene Walker when you're talking about somebody else.
I'm quoting the Sachs report.
Let me tell you about the Sachs report. Tell me about textbooks in the Sachs report and the lost $12 million.
Yeah, do you think,
and that's in the Sachs report.
They been found?
What do you know about it?
Have they been
What
found?
do you know about it?
I'm asking you. You're the
You don't know anything about it.
They were missing. We talked
It
about
isn't
it in the
missing. It isn't missing. And if you've been at the state board hearing, you would know it wasn't missing.
I heard all that. And
it isn't missing. It's clear as day, Dick. It isn't missing. And what it shows is that there are things in the Sachs report that are not true, that are not accurate. And we're using it as evidence.
So what?
To remove people from...
Is the governor wrong to remove the board members?
Beyond
Alexis, are you willing to put
the
six?
constitutional
Are you
question.
willing
Is
to?
the governor wrong to remove them? And that is what is being
That's what's
asked
being
in
argued
court
in court.
today. And that is a very important, serious question because this does set a precedent to remove people from public office
Who
who
are
have been
duly elected.
by voters and citizens who re-elected some of them in this case
Sure.
in this last election
Now, look,
last year.
I'm-
So it really is an important question to ask. It has nothing to do with the merits of the case
I'm not
at
a big
all.
fan of Sachs. I think they're heavy-handed. I think the report was filled with hearsay. It didn't name names as I think a good report should.
And it's going to be used as evidence.
And I'm not a big fan of Sachs. So get me. And
I know you're not.
In Dunwoody, people are seeking separate accreditation, not from Sachs, but from the Georgia Accrediting Commission.
And we need to
because
look at
it's a workaround because they don't trust Sachs either. But I think here's my simple point: Are you two willing to put 6 school board members ahead of 99,000 school children? You apparently are. That's wrong.
No,
that's
I don't think
that's not what
the
that's
question
not
at
what
all.
it's about. It's about whether or not there is some constitutional basis for this law. I think, number one.
Right.
Number two, whether you can base their removal on a report that is unsubstantiated, as you just acknowledged.
No, it's
that it is. It's unsubstantiated.
Well, you know, I'm not
So
going to
we
go as
can't-
far as
we
I don't think
don't
it's
know.
sloppy. I think it's an opinion.
I'm not
based
saying
on
that it's
some
sloppy,
it's the
Phil.
caliber
I'm
of
not
the
saying
work.
it's sloppy.
Jeff,
I'm
that
saying these
report.
folks, these educators that SAC sends in to look at the school system aren't investigators. They don't know how to compile evidence. That's not what this is about. And we're basing
But
a
they're well paid.
statute and the removal of this suspension on the
They did
document.
document mismanagement, Jeff. I'm sorry. Even you admit there's mismanagement in the system.
Look, you've got
Well,
now
the
we've got.
mismanagement is not the responsibility of the school board. Management is the responsibility of the
They
high
said-
Here's the
They
thing
said
about it. I mean,
policy.
the bottom line, this is so much ado about nothing. The likelihood of this school system losing accreditation is nil. It's not going to happen on December 31. It just isn't going to happen. It wouldn't have happened with the old board and the old superintendent.
It's not a
And
risk.
the only reason we are where we are is because there was this deep level of distrust. Hear me. Between the administration and the board. It's the only reason we are where we are. And because when they first went down to the state board, those non-board members, they had no support from the administration. They went down there on their own, and they couldn't answer questions about textbooks. They couldn't answer questions about wired classrooms because they didn't have anybody from the administration supporting
There's no
them.
question it's a good thing that Michael Thurman is the
And that they
superintendent.
did have administrative support when they went down there the first time with a consent order in hand, just like APS did before them. They wouldn't, 6 board members would not be facing suspension. It's as simple as that. And if we didn't have the high level of distrust between the former superintendent and the board, we wouldn't be on probation.
You shouldn't be having school board members using
No,
taxpayer money to be
I
suing.
want to try to give the public some perspective of what's really going on behind the
Well,
scenes.
I know that's your job, but it annoys me that we're going to put 6 school board members before 99,000 children. It frosts my butt that a guy named Michael Thurman with no credentials, lacks the credentials to be in the job, is getting paid $275,000 plus $2,600 a month in unreceipted expenses plus $850 per car. He's an educator.
He
He's supposed
is
to be an educator.
eminently qualified
It's too much
to be
money.
in this
Now,
job.
do you defend the
we
firing?
need a CEO of this school
No,
system.
because he doesn't have
We
revenue
have a
responsibility.
governing board. How many times have you and I written editorials supporting generals and other people in the military going in and running school systems?
I'm for that.
Right, because they have backgrounds different from educators. Michael Thurman's
I want a
background
new
is
school
different
board.
from an
That's what I
educator.
want. I think we need a new school board.
We need a new school.
This love affair with Gene Walker is ridiculous, Jeff.
Well, let me tell you, you can beat up on Gene all you want. I know him. I've known him for 25 or 30
I know
years.
him.
I know him to be a good man. I know him to be somebody who's never been accused of a
you know
crime.
Kevin Ross,
I've
and
known
he's in
Kevin
deep
Ross.
All right, we got to get out. We got to get out. We got to get out.
Unindicted.
Can you defend?
And he's never been committed of a crime.
Can you
Never been accused or
can
committed
you
a
defend
crime.
Bibb County down by Macon, firing their school superintendent and settling with him for $350,000? This thing's out of hand. The school board's got to go. The 99,000 students stay. When we come back, the rest of the DeKalb scandal. Stay with us.